We want you to know that everything that happens to you without exception is coming in response to the vibrations that you're offering, in response to the desires you offer and the belief that you hold about the current thing. Nothing is arbitrary, nothing is accidental, everything is about something. If you pay attention, now we would encourage you to pay attention at the earlier subtle stages. In other words, pay attention when you've decided something and now you're justifying it. Feel how justification feels. Feel how defending feels. Feel how rationalization feels. Feel how digging your heels in against someone who doesn't agree with you feels. Feel how that feels. And at the early subtle stages, you can close that gap easily. But if you don't worry, it will get bigger. It will get bigger, 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 until it's big enough that you understand that you have a vibrational variance, because things are always working out for you, aren't they? Aren't things always working out for you? So it doesn't matter where you stand. Esther could explain to you, she sort of kind of wants to, how many nice people she's met along the way as she's having this window repaired and as she's renting this car and then this car and then this car. In other words, nothing has gone wrong. Everything is just fine. But really, if she would really tell you how it really is, she would have preferred that her back window had stayed intact. She really would have preferred that. That really would have been the path of least resistance. Now, is it the end of the world that it didn't? Certainly not. Can she go back and undo that? Certainly not. Can she live before that happened and start again? Certainly not. Can she stand right where she's standing and choose the next path of least resistance? Yes, she can. So the first step of it, as she's standing there looking at her car, was to look at this man who was so frightened and say to him, it's okay. It's okay. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. And then she said, I take responsibility for the stuff that happens to me and mine. And he looked at her like, you are the weirdest person that I've ever met in my entire life. Esther is fairly certain that somehow, and when he was trying to lock it or unlock it, he managed to push the button that opened the window and didn't know it until he heard the loud crash. In other words, it's sort of logical about what happened in terms of when it was way down the road. She tried to miss that guy. She drove past him completely, drove right through the parking garage. In other words, the path of least resistance was unfolding to her. But she had something stuck in her vibrational craw that she needed to figure out. And this sweet man helped her figure it out. Helped her figure it out. There is always a cooperative component that will help you figure it out. There are cooperative components everywhere. You've got to accept them as cooperative components. They're not renegades. They're not monsters. They're not trying to make your life harder. They're just doing what they do in relationship to the vibrational frequency that you've got going. And if you've got split energy about something, you're not very powerful. But if you will take the time to line up with who you are, if you will follow your path of least resistance, if you will take to heart what that really means, if you will care about how you feel, and you will catch your vibrational frequencies in the early subtle stages, then you don't have to have manifestations that are unpleasant. But what the heck? How bad really can physical manifestations be? Some of them take you out, you croak. You say, oh, what a bad physical manifestation that was. We say, not really, not really. You just moved into a place of absolute non-resistance where you have clear view of everything. In other words, nothing ever really goes wrong. But there is a question about how much discomfort you are willing to put up with for yourself. And the answer to that really lies in how willing are you to follow your path and not work so hard at trying to make everybody else's path the right path for them. You don't have the chops to make their path work for them. You don't have the data, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the vibrational intention, you don't have the vibrational integrity, you don't have the emotional guidance system. You cannot do a good job of making anybody else's life work for them. That's their job. And when you try, oh, we love you so much, you are so bent on the idea of service. I will give service. I will serve others gladly. And we say, of course you will. You are born uplifters. But when you decide that you're going to try to figure out what's best for them and twist yourself all into a knot while you're satisfying some other intention that you can't even begin to recognize or understand because you don't have vibrational variance within you about that, then you're going to get off your path on a pretty regular basis, and it's not going to be very long before you start resenting them for the path that it feels to you like they took you down. And we're just saying, it's not the valet parker's fault. It's not his fault. It was not his fault. He was a willing, compliant, harmonic, co-creative being who gave Esther exactly what her vibrational frequency was calling for. Now, we could talk all day about the components of that. She loves her car. She has a friend staying with her, and she says to her friend, "Nah, I never let anybody drive my car but me." And yet she hands it over to somebody she doesn't even know. Well, valet parkers, they fall in a whole other category. They fall in a whole other category because I know them. Wait, no, I don't. Because they're professional. Wait, maybe they're not. In other words, you'll reach the place where you'll get so good because of the experience that you've had. Once you start evaluating the experiences that you're having from this understanding that you've got guidance and you can feel when you're on track. Start noticing when things go really well, and notice the emotional mood component that is also present. And if you'll start noticing that, then you'll get the hang of this. And you'll come to the place where no matter what happens, you know it's on your path. No matter what happens, you know it's a value for you. But you'll have more and more awareness of what the path of least resistance is. And we would like to describe the path of least resistance to you. It's a path of clarity and fun and exhilaration and balance and vitality and well-being. It's the path that is truly your path. It's who you are. And if you're experiencing a lot or even a little of anything less than that, then you're probably marching to the beat of somebody else's drum. You're probably trying to please somebody else. And we know they're loud. And they're up close. And they mean it. They mean it. So Esther's trying to sort this out in her mind. She's thinking, well, so if I take my path of least resistance and everybody else does too, then law of attraction will just help us hook up with each other when we're in the vibrational vicinity. So nobody needs anybody. You don't need support from others, but there is all kinds of cooperation that law of attraction will line up for you. You will not be alone. But if you are vulnerable, or if you are needy, if you are feeling that something is missing in your experience, then you hold yourself apart from the very resources that you seek. We are eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. What do you want to talk about? It's a lot of trouble in this room. Going to have a really good day.